Around this time of year, people want to be reminded of the real reason we celebrate Christmas. And what better way to do that than to place the borders at the epicentre of a story about Jesus and one of the most famous relics concerning his life, which has eluded archaeologists and historians forever. But I'm going to tell you a story today about how that relic may be here in the Scottish borders. But the story starts far off in the lands of the Middle East. So somehow I'm going to have to try and make this look a bit like a desert or something. Maybe if I just flatten off these bits of grass and spread a few rocks out here and that might look like it. See how that goes. What is it that connects the desert coasts of the Middle East here to the Scottish borders? Who were the religious warriors who fought in this area and then somehow ended up in the Scottish borders? The thing which connects the Scottish borders with the Middle East and the Holy Lands is probably the most enigmatic, mysterious and discussed group of warriors ever in history. And they are the Knights Templar. Templars thrived in the 12th century. Their main objective was to guard the holy city of Jerusalem. But what they're most famous for is their hoards of treasure, and some say they were entrusted with the guardianship of none other than the Holy Grail. The Middle East is completely littered with these ancient religious sites, and the sites dedicated to Christianity were almost all guarded by the Templars. But the Templars' role of guardians of the religious Christian faith in the Middle East was short-lived. Their rise to power and riches and fame was brought to an abrupt end by the Pope, who excommunicated them, disgraced them, humiliated them, and ultimately killed most of them. The only Templars who survived took refuge in the only country in Europe that would take them. And where do you think that was? Yeah, that's right. Scotland. the Knights came to Scotland, but more specifically, they were extremely active in the south of Scotland and the borders. As well as the Knights Templar, Robert the Bruce and the whole of the nation of Scotland had also been excommunicated by the Pope. This was a land that welcomed the Knights in with open arms, and the Knights came and helped us at the Battle of Bannockburn. But the question I'm asking today is, how much of that treasure did they bring here? I aim to go today and have a look for it, and I'm in a real hotspot of Templar activity in this area, and that's around the Hoyk area, Cavers and Bonchester Bridge. So let's go and see what we can find. Most talk of the Templars in Scotland leads instantly to talk of Roslin Chapel, and undoubtedly Roslin Chapel was a hive of Templar activity, but it wasn't the only place. There are secret crypts under Roslin Chapel where there allegedly are Templar treasures buried, but there are secret crypts in the borders as well, and particularly around here at Cavers, where I also think there are clues or treasures themselves buried. This is the small parish Kirk of Hopkirk near Bonchester Bridge. It was on a small farm here in 1897 that a farmer made a fantastical find of treasure, which was the first real pointer to the Templars being in this area. Because it was on a farm here in this Bonchester Bridge area in 1897 that a farmer uncovered a huge hoard of coins, but not Roman coins or British coins. These were Mediterranean and European coins, and they dated from exactly the time that the Knights Templar had been excommunicated and arrived in Scotland. Was this a Templar's treasure? And you may be thinking, yes, so what? Coincidence. European coins in the middle of the borders. But the next coincidence might take a bit more explaining, because the farm near where these coins were found is now known as Temple Hall. But the real Templar activity centres on a place not far from here, just along the road in fact, and it's known as Cavers, and it used to be the most populated place in the whole area here. This is Cavers here. The town centres around the old 11th, 12th century castle, which was later transformed into a huge mansion. But there's also an old church on the estate, and there's rumoured to be a Douglas crypt within the church grounds, which is locked and sealed. But what's hiding within that Douglas crypt? Let's go and see if we can take a look. Access to the Douglas crypt is strictly forbidden, but it's in the graveyard here at Cavers that many clues as to who is buried here survive. And the main clue that we see all over this graveyard is this: the skull and crossbones, a clear indicator of Templar graves. Well, I managed to get a look into the Douglas crypt there. The film's not very good because it's very dark, and I was pretty high getting the film. But it seems that all there is in there is 4 coffins, which is a bit spooky, but I don't think there's any treasure in there. I think if there was going to be any Templars treasure, it would centre on the castle. The castle which was gifted to the good Sir James Douglas, or the Black Douglas, by Robert the Bruce, which instantly puts it into the hands of someone who was at Bannockburn. And I think the Templars were here too with the Black Douglas. And a castle of this importance, this standing, would be the obvious place to hide some treasure, like the Holy Grail. I just need to find the old castle mansion now. I know it's somewhere in this wooded area, but it's certainly not on the tourist trail. Pretty sure it's around here somewhere. Yeah, here it comes now. It's an extremely eerie sight. Massively impressive structure. It's huge. You can just imagine it in its heyday. How can something so important, so grand, be left to rot on this scale? Well, obviously it's financial, but wow. Just wow. Once the seat of the Douglas family, the most powerful family in southern Scotland, and now literally a crumbling ruin. Now a lot of the building is 17th, 18th century construction, but there are fragments of the 11th century castle that still stand in the middle, the thick, well-built bits that were indestructible. This section of the house here was the main entrance. You may have seen photographs. But you can see on the ground here, you can still see the marble tiles from the interior. Wow. But the question remains, was the house and castle here used by the Knights Templar, and did they leave any treasure hidden on the grounds here. I'm just going to spend the next few hours having a research about, see if I can't find anything. They thought to look at the old boat shed, did they? Who's that? Shit. Oh my god, they're trying to kill me. It really must be the Holy Grail. Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. I need to get back to my car. The Lord will guide me. I think I'm going to have to get to a museum. The public needs to see this. Pretty sure there's a museum somewhere around here in Hike. They'll probably want it, like. They could probably use it. Luckily I've managed to meet up with Davey here, who's the manager at the Hike Museum. Hi Davey, pleased to meet you.
Hi Mark, pleased to meet you.
Thing is Davey, I was just wondering if you wanted the Holy Grail, like in the cup that Jesus used at the Last Supper and that for your museum, like, yeah?
Is it the real yin, like?
It's definitely the real yin, like, aye.
Aye, if it's the real yin, we'll take that, like, I could definitely use that, like. That'll definitely pull the Hike hunters in, like, probably the most famous thing in the world, like.
So there it goes. If you believe that story, why not come over and see it? Now some of the more sharp-minded and cynical amongst you may be thinking, wait a minute, bet that's not even the real Holy Grail. I'll leave that for you to decide. But I do think this region is steeped in Templar history and you should be educated in that. People should know about it and talk about it. And people should be coming here to see that, but they don't. See you next week. This Wilton Lodge Park is lovely, by the way. There's lots to see and do here. I didn't even realise.